All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Continuum. Here we are again. I feel like this is all I do is build arrows on this channel, but I like doing it and it gets views. So we're gonna keep doing it. Today, we have what has become a pretty popular arrow, the new Easton 5.0s. Basically, if you don't know me, I like my Easton axes, and I have said in past videos, if I could have an Easton axis that was a little bit lighter, I would shoot it. That is what this arrow is. So I am building this for Total Archery Challenge. So obviously I'm going to put that in the title, but I'll be honest, I might end up hunting with these. I'm not sure yet, but I'm for sure shooting them at Total Archery Challenge. They're not quite as light as what I used to do, but again, I think I might just make this my arrow. But anyways, we'll kind of go over everything I'm putting on it, and then we're going to build one of the arrows. I use a Bitzenberger, so if you want to learn how to do that, I'll do a little somewhat how-to, and that's pretty much it. We've made these videos a few times now, so if you want, go check those out, and then you can watch this or watch this, and then go watch those. Doesn't matter to me. But first off, obviously, Easton 5.0, I'm shooting the 300 spine. They are, I believe it says on here somewhere how much they weigh. Yeah, 8.4 GPI. So we'll do the math as we're going. 8.4 times 27.75. So just the arrow with nothing else on it is 233 grains. Grains? Grams? Which one is it? Grains per inch. Okay, it's 233. I'm going to put some wraps on there from One Stringer Arrow Wraps. If you ever want to get arrow wraps, this is who we use. They're actually pretty local to us, but even if they weren't, I like them because their design function that they have on their website, they actually recently redid it and it's really good. I designed these wraps. You can just go from what they have, or you can like fully customize your wraps to whatever you want. So that's fun. Their prices is pretty good, and they have a chart that you select the exact arrow that you're using, and it tells you what size of wrap to get. That's something that I really like. So wraps, vanes, again, trying something that I've never done before. I get all of our stuff, if you haven't seen this in other videos, from Midwest Archery. That is our shop. Love those guys. If you're around the Springfield area and you need a bow shop, go to them. And if you do, you will notice that a lot of the people that work there love these Q2i vanes. I've never shot them. I was gonna do tack vanes again, but as I was just getting everything set up and talking, they're like, hey, try these out. So I'm gonna try them out. Q2i vanes. This year I'm doing the 50 grain little half outsert and then a 100 grain point. So we have 233, we have a 50 grain outsert, we have a 100 grain point. That's 383. Again, you have to account for wrap, vanes, and a knock. I'm just gonna, for now, for Total Archery Challenge, I'm just using the white knocks. I might put some Luminox in there for hunting, but I'm gonna say we're hovering right around that low 400 for my total arrow weight, which is what I wanted. That's a weight that I'm gonna like for hunting, and I think it's still plenty light enough that I will have plenty of sight tape for Total Archery Challenge. So that's what the arrow is. In fact, please hold. I've already built one, if I'm being totally honest. I got a little impatient. So this is what it's gonna end up looking like. I like it a lot. I think it looks clean, just real black and white. If you don't like that, you're wrong. But anyways, now we're gonna build one. So first things first, get all of these out the way. And we start with a clean arrow. If you buy them without vanes on them, awesome. If you don't, get your little arrow scraper, scrape it all off, and then you always want to clean the end of your arrow with some of this. They make arrow cleaning wraps. I'll give you a little hint. It's just this on a wet wipe. So save yourself some money, do that. If you're doing wraps, you're gonna want, again, you can get real official and get a wrap pad, or you can just get a gun cleaning mat because it's the same thing. So now we have a clean arrow, we have a wrap pad, we have my wraps, we are going to apply one of my wraps. So take this out, peel it off of here because it's just a sticker. If you don't know what arrow wraps are, it's literally just a sticker. Uno momento. There we go. Peel that off. Try to keep everything really clean if you can. Don't want to have a bunch of dirt on the back of that sticker. Take your arrow, and for the sake of consistency, what I would say is find a way to try to do this the same every time. So most nocks, I'll tell you what I'm going to do today. Most nocks are going to have like a little ridge on one side that's not on the other side. I take that ridge, I lay my arrow completely flat to where the gap of the nock is facing straight up and that little ridge is facing straight forward. I try to do that every single time. And then what I'm going to do, and we'll probably try to get more close-up footage of this as I'm building out my other arrows, but take the arrow, line it up to where the end of the wrap is right at the end of the shaft. I don't want it to overlap onto the nock. Get everything as lined up as I can. I get right up to the edge of the wrap, and then I just push forward until the wrap starts to move, and that's how I know I've come into contact with the wrap. Now my wrap is moving, then I kind of push down on the arrow as I roll forward a little bit. Then once I see the edge and I see that everything is good to go, I'll actually roll back a little bit to just really make sure that edge is pushed down. And then I go ahead and just roll the wrap on. And then that's it. The wrap is on, we're good to go. Easy. Now, we're gonna fletch this thing. So we use a bits. It's one of the most popular old faithful things ever. I know there's new stuff, but those cost money, and we already have one of these. I use a helical clamp. They have a helical and a straight clamp, I believe, that comes with it. You can get all kinds of extra different stuff, but we all run helicals. I am doing a 4 fletch this year. If you have a Bits and Burger and you want to do different fletchings, there's 3 holes right here. Top is 3 fletch, middle is 4 fletch, and the bottom, I finally figured out what this is. The bottom is a 4 fletch, but they're not evenly spaced. It makes like a small gap in between 2 and a wide gap to where it's almost like if you took a 4 fletch and smushed all your veins down, that's what it is. And I guess that's for like clearance purposes. I'm not 100% sure, but I at least know what it looks like when you do that now. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing a standard 90-degree 4 fletch. So I have that, put the arrow in there, take you one of your fletchings. On this clamp, there's going to be a bunch of hash marks. You use those hash marks to make sure your arrows are the same distance from your nock every single time. Little fun addition to the reason that I like to use wraps is when I design my wraps, I include this, which yes, it does say Continuum Outdoors. That's really fun, but it also is where I line all my fletchings up with. So the back of my fletching starts there every time. So I have a little double check to know that I'm lining everything up. So put that fletching in there. I know that should be about right, but before I put any glue on there, I'm gonna double check it's lined up with the back of that. And then the next thing you will want to make sure of before you start putting any glue on is that your fletching is actually in good contact with the arrow. You can adjust that with all of this back here. So you loosen these up and then you can turn these dials to adjust this entire section of the bits. That moves the arrow, not the arrow, that moves the clamp up and down, or you can even do some funky offset stuff. The main thing is just make sure that when you're pressing down, the fletching is gonna actually be coming into full contact with the arrow. So our bits is set up, our wrap is on, our arrow, why do I keep saying that? Our fletching is where it needs to be on the arrow. I am not super, I hate when people use this word, anal, with my arrow builds, but I'm close. I like to use a primer pin. When I do that, what you just saw me do is I take a little paper towel or something, and that first push of the primer pen, because it's like those old painting pens you used to use in art class as a kid. You push down and then the liquid is in the end of this now, which I'll be honest, I don't know what is in a primer pen. Do you?
I kind of think goes right. I think it's just.
I think yeah. I mean, it's what it smells like. But anyways,
it's probably just 91% isopropyl
yeah.
alcohol. You do the same thing with a Q-tip.
Yes, you take this, take your fletching, and you kind of just wipe it down. Really, all you're doing is just making sure that everything is very clean. That way, your glue sticks. So take that, let it air dry, blow on a little if you want. Fletching glue, I'm just using boning. That's another reason that I kind of went away from tack vanes, if I'm being honest, is tack vanes, you have to use tack stuff to use tack vanes, and it's not cheap. So this is another area where you can really mess up, and I've messed up in the past. You don't need as much glue as you think. I promise you. It does not take that much to get an arrow to stick. So what I'm going to do is clean the end of this off first. I'm going to do 3 dots, and that's it. I'm going to do 1 towards the end, 1 in the middle, and 1 towards the other end, and then you just spread it out across the whole vein. The main thing you want is no air bubbles and no like dry spots on the vein. Once you got your glue on there, it's a magnet, and then you just press straight down onto the arrow. You don't really need to mash on it. You really don't. This is another area where a lot of people disagree. Some people say you only need to hold it for 5 seconds. Some people say hold it for 1.5 minutes. I do like 10, 15 seconds. My thing is I have rushed building arrows before and regretted it. So just take your time. Make sure you're doing everything right. There's going to be a little bit of glue spill out of the edges no matter what, even if you're not using too much glue. So what you do then is you get yourself a Q-tip. You take the clamp off, and you just wipe away all that excess glue because you don't want that left on your arrow. Click. That's how you know where you're supposed to be on a bits, is it clicks. You'll know. If it's not clicking, you've done something horribly wrong. Wipe away your glue. All right, and then we are on to the next one, and you're just going to repeat that process. So I'll probably do either a little time lapse in here or a couple jump cuts, and then there's one more thing that I like to do to my fletchings to make sure that they are not going anywhere. And then we will glue an insert in, and then that's it. So here we go. Okay, so there is the last fletching. Take that off. Take my Q-tip. Squeegee, squeegee. I think I said that last time. Everything looks good. And then this is not something that I made up. This is something a lot of people do. It's called tipping. So the area of which most vanes are going to fail is the front and the back. So you take your glue and you just very gently put little globs on the ends of your fletchings. And I'm talking like little, because you don't want to have a bunch of globs of glue everywhere. And again, don't do this if you don't want to. It's not like that's necessary. It's just something that a lot of people would recommend. All right, now, here's the part of the video that, I'll be honest, changes every single time we film this, but this is what I'm going to do this year. I actually have some spare Easton parts laying around to be truthful, I don't know where these came from. I don't know why I have these. I have no idea, but I have them. And inside of this little baggie is this. Easton's epoxy system. So there's a lot of way to put components into an arrow. I could use this and it would dry very, very fast. I could use hot melt and it would dry even faster. You do end up with stuff like that, where I don't know if you can see that, but that insert is not all the way in the arrow and it's stuck. That can happen if you use super glue and are an idiot. It's a two-step process there. So today, for the sake of the video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these in with this to teach you good, smart habits, and then I'm gonna turn the camera off and try it again with super glue. There you go. So anyways, here we go. Take this, open it on up. Do you have like a paper plate or something laying around, Dylan?
Yeah, I can find some.
Okay, because you don't want to put this on your friend's desk. He might get a little upset. Boom, boom, boom.
Here you go, use this.
In case you wonder what we do in our spare time. All right. Do you have scissors?
Yeah.
Perfect. So prepared. All right. It's a lot like, it's just epoxy. It all works the same. There's two ingredients. You put them together, you mix them together, and it works. So you'll see a little dotted line. You cut on said dotted line. And then you squeeze all of the goodness out of the package. Now, again, the only downside to this is you do need to leave these arrows alone for a little bit. You cannot do this and then go shoot. You need to wait. I believe you're supposed to wait a full day after using this stuff. So, it's all good. Patience is a virtue, or so I've heard. I don't know. I don't believe that. Then you take... You got a tea laying around anywhere? Or a toothpick? I just need to stir it up.
Cut the end off one of them Q-tips.
You're right. There we go. You have to mix it up, because again, it is two ingredients. You mix that all up. You take one of your handy dandy inserts. You get this little goopy goop on your insert. You don't have to have a ton of it, but put a decent amount on there. Just get the whole thing coated. Take your arrow, start sliding it in, and twist, and then really give it a good mash at the end to make sure you got it on there. And then be a little more prepared than me and take you a paper towel and just wipe that excess stuff off of there. And the reason I like this stuff, again, it's a little annoying because you have to wait, but it's clean. I don't waste arrows by ruining them, and there's not that like super glue film cake stuff on the end of your arrow. So there's that. Again, kaboom, full arrow. Obviously throw a 100 grain field tip in there. But that is my Total Archery Challenge arrow and possibly my hunting arrow. I have not made my mind up yet. But I think you're going to see a lot of people shooting this arrow. I think it's a good weight to be at. Because again, I can run this 50 grain and 100 grain field tip or broadhead and have a decent amount of weight up front. If you have been in bow hunting for 2 seconds, you're going to hear people talking about front of center. That's just the eternal debate of how much weight should you have up front. Like, you want a lot, you want a little, or you want to be like me and where most people are, just kind of in between. And you can do that with this arrow without using a bunch of weight, which makes your arrow lighter. And I think people that shoot heavy arrows are I don't know if you heard that, but if you did, oh well, we'll figure it out. All right, so I think that might be the end of the video. Is that the end of the video? Is that all we're doing? We might go shoot. If this is the end of the video, thank you for watching. Again, that was just this year's arrow build for Total Archery Challenge. I'm going to say that as many times as I can so I can rake in as many views as I can. If you want to watch some other arrow builds, we have some of those. If you want to watch some fishing, we have a bunch of that. If you want to watch some hunting, we don't have nearly as much of that, but we're getting there. Just watch our videos, please, and thank you. Have a good day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.